everyone prepare for the worst reread of the century. And we're good. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the Hey Listen podcast. Today's episode, we're going to cover our Elden Ring review and a couple of different little things just to fill in some time, but I just kind of want to get right into it. Pre-show jitters are hitting and I don't know what to talk about for the time being. And we were sitting in pre-show talking about everything for like the whole fucking 30 minutes we were there.
Yep.
Right. And this wonderful face sitting to my right, my left. I don't know how my camera's doing this. This
It's your right.
is my special guest, Mr. Rob Martinez. Rob, how's it going?
Pretty good. Feeling good over here.
All right. Feeling good. That's good. Having double echo in my background does not help me. So I'm going to fix that. What you been up to, man? How's your day going? What have you been doing? Can you give our listeners a little view into what makes Rob tick?
Today specifically, I woke up, took a shower, and now I'm here.
All right.
That's it for today. No.
That's it for today. I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. You can try. It's done.
Yeah, exactly. Recently, I pretty much just been playing Elden Ring and reading. That's my life.
Oh yeah, reading. That's right. You've been reading
Yes.
Dune, haven't you?
I started Dune a few days, like a week ago. I'm about halfway.
Halfway
I,
through.
I probably would have finished it by now if Elden Ring didn't come out. That's really slowing my progress.
Yeah. Elden Ring's slowing progress on a whole bunch of stuff, man. Yeah.
It's hard to choose. Yeah, if I'm sitting at my desktop, it's like Steam is open. Elden Ring is right there. Why would I be doing anything else?
Yeah, I feel that. There's a whole bunch of backlog things that I could be playing right now and I should be playing, and other things that I want to stream. But I just get sucked into Elden Ring. I turn my PlayStation on when I get home, and bam, it's freaking 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's over.
All right, well, shoot, that's cool. I want to thank all of our viewers for showing up today. I know that I can't see it right now because my OBS is kind of dumb and I didn't set it up the right way, so I don't know what the hell's happening in chat. But I think it's going great. Thank you for tuning in. Let's start off here with a little bit of morning news stuff. Just a couple updates from the games industry this morning. And my first one's going to be, it looks like Bungie is hiring for a new third-person action game. This one comes from VGC via Mr. Tom Ivan. The studio hasn't publicly announced what it's working on beyond Destiny 2, but it has said on multiple occasions that it plans to bring at least one new IP to the market by 2025. One of these projects could be a third-person action title based on a job listing from the company's website. Mr. Rob, you told me before that you played a lot of Destiny 1, and what do you think about this new Bungie IP? What would you like to see from Bungie, given deep history in first-person shooters and weird-ass shit?
Of course, yeah. Well, you know that the first Halo game was originally going to be third person, so that's interesting. But honestly, I'm just glad they're moving away from Destiny because they've been on it for so long.
Oh yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you know, plenty of Destiny fans out there, but I feel like it's run its course. And I'm sure the developers feel the same way. They're just like, we've been working on this one franchise for so long, and they spent a while working on Halo also.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to move on. And going from first person into, if it is like a third person action game, then all the more power to them. They actually will have some variety from now on, it seems.
Well, hopefully there'll be variety, and we won't get
Hopefully
another
it'll be variety.
shooter where you have to grind 50 hours to get a weapon and not get the right weapon roll.
Yeah, we'll get Bungie's Anthem.
Oh my god, I hate that. I can count the hours in my skies above me. How many times I've wasted time in Destiny 2 trying to get something and not get it, and then have to waste 20 more hours.
Yep.
Oh boy. Well, we can hope that Bungie will be bringing in some variety to its choice. It's interesting with the whole Halo being third person originally vibe. You think they'll go back towards something more well, I guess not back, but I guess continue on that space kind of marine vibe that they've had going on recently, or do you think they're going to jump into a completely different genre with third-person action?
You know, it's hard to say because I know Destiny was born out of a sort of split between the studio
Mm-hmm.
where one half wanted to do more science fiction, the other half wanted to do more fantasy. So they're like, well, let's just combine it. So I honestly have no idea where they can go. They could go full on science fiction into the future, or they
Mm-hmm.
could go full on like fantasy, you know, Elden Ring type.
Yeah.
Hopefully their decisions aren't influenced by popular games like you know, Elden Ring. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, we're gonna hope for the best for Bungie for now, and stay tuned as we look into it more. We'll pick up things as it comes out. Moving on to our next part and topic of the show, we're going to look at the state of play coming out today. It looks like Sony has released information this week. Today, they're going to be hosting a state of play. This comes from Kristen Zitani at the PS blog, who earlier this week wrote, and I quote, "The show is clocking in around 20 minutes, give or take, with a special focus on highlighting great games coming from from some of our beloved Japanese publishers. Though we will have a few updates from other developers located around the world too." She goes on to say that there will be no hardware discussions, so anybody hoping for a look at the PSVR 2, you're kind of shit out of luck. But hearing that we're going to see some video games or some footage of games for the PS5 and PS4 from this state of play, and specifically Japanese publishers, what do you think, prediction wise? What do you think we're going to see at 2 p.m. today?
I can't say, but I'm always hoping for a Blue Point Bloodborne remake. So that's my prediction.
Yeah,
They've been remaking Bloodborne.
that makes sense. You know, more Japanese developers. That and Blue Point being one of the biggest Sony partnered companies and first party company now. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something. I think I would like to see something brand new from Blue Point, but if I get a Bloodborne remake as well, I think that'd be friggin' awesome. I I had a lot of fun playing Bloodborne. It was honestly the first Soulsborne kind of game that I was able to really get into,
Mm.
like really deep into it. It felt different. It looked different. Had that nice gothic feel and creepy vibe going on around the whole time.
Yeah, if a Bloodborne remake is coming, which it isn't, but if it is, they need to bring it to Steam
Yes, definitely
because
bring it to Steam.
100% it will be a PS5 exclusive, just like Demon Souls.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, given Sony's current track record with porting things over, I would say you have a fair chance of getting it on the PC, even though it may come later. But
You never know.
keep it
I
open.
mean, yeah, Demon Souls isn't on there, and Bloodborne is also a PlayStation IP, so one can only hope.
Hey,
Death
I mean,
Stranding came to PC.
look at God of War and Horizon. Those both came to
Exactly,
PC, so you there is hope at the end of that tunnel. There's a light.
exactly.
Some other things that people are predicting out there for the state of play today actually are, we might actually see, we might get a chance to see some Resident Evil 4 remake footage possibly, and some people throwing out from the Capcom bus that maybe you'll see some Resident Evil Village DLC.
Oh,
What are your thoughts on that?
that would be interesting because I know Resident Evil Village had a lot of replay value, so just adding more on there, a lot of people would like to see it.
Hmm. I actually never got into Village for some reason. I tried 7 and I liked it for the first person aspect of it, but I just never gave a Village a chance.
Mhm.
I assume that I will eventually get it when it goes on sale again, and maybe in the mood for a Resident Evil game. But ever since Resident Evil 5, I've just fallen off of the series.
I know a lot of people that really liked Village, and I also know a lot of people that just weren't a fan at all. So it really seems a little split among
Yeah,
players.
definitely split between players and critics, especially too. A lot
Yeah.
of outlets out there giving Resident Evil 8 a really good review, and Resident Evil 8 even winning some awards out of Game Awards and Dice Awards. The actress for Lady Dimitrescu, she won Best Performance Award at the Game Awards, I believe.
hmm
Oh, something fell. That's not good. But yeah, everyone says it's so great and so good, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So hopefully, I'll get some time for that. Some cool
Well,
breaking news though. This came out this morning, maybe a couple hours ago. But it looks like ahead of this state of play, there has been a leak for the Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins game demo on the PlayStation Store. So this kind of pushes that notion right now that we're going to see a lot of Stranger of Paradise footage coming out of this state of play. Do you think there's a chance that we might get a push for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2? Maybe Final Fantasy 16?
I think so. I definitely think that the footage is coming based off of that leak there.
Do you have you tried Stranger of Paradise before? Have you? I know it was
Actually,
a
I have
demo a while
not.
back.
Mm-mm.
Ah, that one was actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was different for a Final Fantasy game in terms of an action RPG, and it definitely felt more Souls like.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
it had the same concept of when you die, you drop your experience points, rune souls, whatever you want to call it, and
Yeah.
it it definitely made the combat a lot more difficult. You had to focus on parrying, or if you were going to focus on magic, you had to focus on magic. Um, in light of the release of Elden Ring now, how do you think Square Enix's version of a Bloodborne game or a Dark Souls game would hold up against that? With so many other Souls-like games out there, especially retro 2Ds, newer 3Ds like Mortal Shell. What's that other one that? Oh man, I play it all the time and I can't remember the name of it right now. It's on the Switch. You play a guy with a cone head.
I don't remember,
Oh man, it's
but
so good.
I'll say I definitely think they need to focus on remembering what makes their game special
Mm-hmm.
and not simply saying because there are a lot of Souls like games out there, and now with Elden Ring, all the companies are going to be saying, "Oh, this is what's popular.
Oh yeah.
Let's do what they did," and they need to step back and remember, hold on, our fan base likes our games for this reason, so
Mm-hmm.
let's not lose that. And I think they need to realize that as well.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree on that. Um, I think that the thing that makes Final Fantasy games so good is that they've got very rich lore behind their characters and their story development. So I know that Final Fantasy 15 was kind of mixed reviews, but I thought that it was good. I didn't finish it, but I thought it was good, and it still drew me in originally with its story and the world that it built around the characters that I played. It's just
Hmm.
the story didn't keep me going like other Final Fantasies have. But I
Uh,
mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 just showed, or Part 1 showed that Square Enix is able to move forward in the world and they're really able to change a way a game is played, especially a classic title that so many people love, like
oh
Final
yeah,
Fantasy VII. So I think that maybe moving forward they'll be able to showcase a little bit more diversity in the style of game. I personally hope that they stick to their same world and lore and don't try to stem too far away from it.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Bringing it back to State of Play real quickly,
mhm.
do you think since Kojima Productions said they've started their next project that we might see something on that front?
This has been the rumblings all over the internet this week, and I am so happy you brought that up because I would die if I could see a new Kojima Productions title.
Oh yes.
I have been so excited to see it because Death Stranding did not leave the taste in my mouth that I wanted from it, and
Really?
I tried it. I just didn't like it as much as I thought I
Wow,
would.
interesting.
But
I'm a big Death Stranding fan personally.
really, you
Yeah.
loved it that much, like it was that
I I played through the whole game twice. Once
twice.
on the PlayStation, and then when it came out on Steam, I
Mm,
played through it on there. And then when whatever the
director's
director's
cut.
cut comes out,
Yeah.
when that comes out on Steam, I will probably play it a third time.
Oh man, wow, damn, that
I
good.
was
I
a
feel
big.
like I have to go back and give it another shot now because it's just.
It's different. It's 100% understandable when
Mm,
people say that it just wasn't for them because the gameplay is honestly it's not like your normal video game. You really are just walking. That's
yeah,
most of the gameplay, but it's interesting. Like the actual mechanics of traversing the world in that game are
yeah.
they get fairly complicated in a good way.
All right. Well, I'm gonna definitely have to give it another shot just to try it out because I mean, after the whole Metal Gear series and everything that Kojima's done in gaming, like I figured his next new IP I'd be so shocked by, and then I was a little let down. But now with a new Kojima Productions coming out, along with all these acquisitions that are happening, what do you think the odds of
Hmm.
Kojima Productions will get picked up by somebody sometime soon?
I have a feeling after the Konami situation, they're gonna want to stay separated,
Yeah,
at least for the time being.
yeah,
It seems like Kojima wants to just do his own thing, and he is succeeding at that so far.
yeah, yeah. I think he's definitely succeeding. I think he'll succeed in any position you put him in, really.
Yeah,
So,
of course. I mean, yeah, I mean, what he did under Konami was still excellent, but
mhm,
you know,
definitely, most definitely, he's built a series that has stood the test of time, and has continued to create fans of the Metal Gear series for
yeah.
so long.
And even Metal Gear 5, which is unfinished, is a masterpiece.
This is true. I didn't like
Yeah.
the ending of Metal Gear Solid 5. I was really fucking
Mm,
mad by the ending of Metal Gear Solid 5. It ended in the worst
really
fucking way. I was mad, but I loved the game. I hated where it ended. I,
interesting.
I
Do you want to go into that, or?
like you get to the last mission, you finish it. No spoilers here, so don't worry if
Okay.
anybody's watching hasn't played it. But you get to the last mission, you get your ending, and then you still can go out and do other stuff that continues the story afterwards. So I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I'm gonna actually get some answers at the end of this. And my last answer is
Hmm.
a big ass cliffhanger on a bike, and that's all I get. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, there are unfinished cutscenes out there from the third half of the game that never released that you could watch to
Oh,
to quench that, but
I
that's not in the game.
I might go out there and pretend it's canon for myself. Go
Yeah,
for it.
it was supposed to be in the game. They just didn't finish it.
Oh man. Well, I'm hoping Kojima Productions gets around to finishing that. If not, I'll just pretend it existed and I'll be fine with my life. That's all I need.
Yeah, exactly.
I need answers. Everything from Metal Gear series just leaves me shocked and confused. But what leaves me more shocked and confused, Mr. Rob, is thinking that I might get God of War Ragnarok footage out of this state of play. How
No,
likely do you think that is? Give me a scale, 1 to 10.
you know what? I'm saying 10. They're gonna show it. They're gonna show that. They're gonna show Thor Ragnarok gameplay because everyone is going hog wild on Elden Ring, and they need to push out their game and say, "Hold on, guys, we're in the game sphere too.
Yeah.
Look at our game."
Check out the space. Give us our room. It's coming. You think they're going to get it out this year and not delay it till 2023? That's the biggest question, though.
I honestly can't say. It could be the opposite. They will delay it because they released Horizon Zero Dawn a week before Elden Ring,
Yeah.
and maybe that wasn't the best decision. I don't know. I can't say.
No one can really say. But what we can say is this is the Hey Listen podcast. Thank you guys for sitting around with us for about 25 minutes now. And I think it's just about time to get into the real topic today, which is our in progress. And I put big quotations on the words in progress review.
Very in
In
progress.
progress, because good God, this game is way too freaking long. I don't think it's a bad thing, but man,
Never too long.
I could not tell you one way or the other how close I am to actually beating the game.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I,
I,
I'm
I
I'm shocked.
I've seen people 60, 70 hours in. They're like, I'm still finding new areas. I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my lord.
Oh yeah. There's so much to do in this game. There's just way too much to do in this game, I think. At least in terms of reviewing traditionally. Reviewing this game traditionally, I have no idea how anybody could do that.
There are people who have seen credits. It exists.
There's a speedrunner. He beat the game in 3 hours. I
I just
saw it
saw that this morning.
on VGC the other day. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Really?"
Yeah, and he didn't die a single time.
He didn't die. It was shocking.
It's crazy. There is an actual end to this game, though. It's not infinite. That's
Yes,
confirmation.
that is true. And unlike Breath of the Wild, which it is very often referred to as a simile, it actually has more content than that. You actually get something out of this.
That's what I was. That's how I've been describing it to people.
Yeah,
Dark Souls plus Breath of the Wild. That's what everyone says. It's true. I feel like.
yeah, definitely. I think the game itself stands on its own merits, and I don't think it needs anything to tie it to Breath of the Wild other than the full open world exploration portion of it.
Yeah, I feel like definitely the main similarity that people will bring in is just the amount of freedom you have, where it's just like you can just decide to go wherever you want, and nothing's going to stop you.
Yeah,
Almost.
it's great. I don't want anything to stop me. I don't need anything to
Exactly.
stop me. The enemy stopped me enough already.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's get right into it. I sent out a grading sheet for you the other day, and
Yeah.
what we're gonna do, the way we're gonna do the review is we're gonna start out with giving our score for the game based on this grading scale that we have agreed upon, and from there we're gonna go into a deeper dive on the product in-depth review for what we have so far. The review is in progress still, so mind you, the scores may change by the time the finalized review comes out. So shoot, let's get right into this. I'll start with you, Mr. Rob. What are you gonna score this game, Mister Elden Ring Extraordinaire? What do you give this?
Well, I'd like to give it a 5, but if we can complicate the scoring system a tiny bit, I would give it a 4.9.
4.9. Okay,
Yeah, it is
4.9.
almost there, but there's a tiny handful of little gripes that I have. They don't really matter in the long run, but they do exist. So I'd
Yeah.
give it a 4.9.
So what are what? Give me a little give me a little rundown for the people who don't know what you've been doing in Elden Ring, and give me some rundown of what's really giving you that 4.9. What's keeping you away from that point?
Well, considering that everything in this game is so excellent, I would say the few gripes that I have are pretty much purely technical and a
Mm-hmm.
couple not. Nothing has to do with the mechanics though. I am playing on Steam, and of course, it is widely known that there are many issues regarding the PC version.
Yes.
I haven't had it as bad as a lot of people do,
Uh
which I'm
huh.
thankful for because I know a lot of people couldn't even start the game. At one point, though, the cloud save did not sync properly, and I almost lost all my progress. And they
Oh my
fixed that,
god.
thankfully. But
Wait.
if you're in the open world
Uh huh.
or fighting a boss with a lot of stuff going on, it
Mm-hmm.
does stutter. The frame rate will drop, and
Mm-hmm.
that is happens more frequently than I would like.
Oh, okay.
And I know that doesn't happen much for like console versions, so that is a
Yes.
PC port issue.
Yeah.
Um, there at least 3 times, all of the audio has cut out except for footsteps, and all I had to do to fix it was rest at a grace, and then
Okay.
everything came back. So I don't know what that was.
Interesting.
Um, so slight technical
Mm-hmm.
things where it's just like, but I know they could fix it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And other slight gripes is just sort of menu usage, I suppose. Opening the map with the map button,
Mm-hmm.
it's really inconvenient
Mm-hmm.
to have to press the back like circle on my controller
Uh
to
huh.
go back to the game instead of pressing the map button again.
Ah,
I'm
yeah,
constantly
yeah.
pressing the map button. Yeah,
We have that
that's
problem too. It sucks.
it's slightly annoying, and I will say, uh, there are a lot of bosses in this game,
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't matter in that much, but there are some repeat bosses in areas that it just
Mm-hmm.
seems kind of lazy.
Okay.
Um, but that's why it's keeping it from that 5. But
Mm-hmm.
everything else is just so damn excellent. It's hard to even like those are so small in the grand scheme of everything.
Okay. I actually have an experience with a duplicate boss, which I never thought was going to happen in this game so far. And
Yeah.
if you recall, on part of the southern continent, there's this Blood Knight. I can't remember what his name is. You fight him in an Evergold portal, and I
Mhm.
fought him there. That was the first time I ever saw it, and I was like, "Cool, this is a dope boss. Like, this feels like a real one-on-one fight. It's like I feel like I'm an evenly matched fight right now. This is cool." And I go around, I go do my exploring. I end up in the second portion of the game, and then I end up running into the exact same kind of boss, but a different name in a different place. And I was like, "Oh man, that you kind of had a chance to use a different kind of enemy here, but why'd you go with that?"
Yeah,
So
or sometimes you will be in a dungeon and you fight a boss and you think, "Wow, that was super unique,
yeah,
super cool boss,"
yeah,
which they are.
yeah.
And then down the road, you'll go into a dungeon and you fight the exact same guy, or it'll be and things like that. Just sort of pull you out a little bit because you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, I've already fought this guy."
Hmm. Another good example of that is over in the first castle. You fight the starting boss again, but as like a regular creature without a name.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely see a little bit of duplication. I'm glad I don't see a lot of duplication.
Yeah, I should say that that is a slight, thing that you'll notice,
Hmm.
but overall, the amount of creativity just seeps out of this game.
Oh yeah.
Like so many, like you'd think after
Hmm.
making three mainline Souls games
Yeah,
and Bloodborne and Sekiro
yeah.
that they would start running out of ideas for enemies you could fight, and they have not. There are some very interesting things that you fight in this game.
I totally agree. I have seen
Yeah,
some things that shocked me to my core, man.
yeah,
I ran into an enemy that just turned over after I killed it, and I was like, I don't want to look at this enemy anymore. This is gross. I can't do this. It's ridiculous. I love the creativity of it. It's a good mix, I feel, between art styles from a Souls game and from Bloodborne, actually, specifically, in the sense of the gothic esque, uh, kind of like old fantasy style looking beings, creatures.
lots of beasts,
Yeah,
bestial enemies.
yeah. So I like it. I do like that, and I see what you're saying with the point nine now. I totally
Yeah,
understand it. If I have to say, I'm honestly probably right there with you with the 4.9. I
mm.
would bring it down to a 4.8
Oh,
personally,
interesting.
just because I've been playing it on console, of course, not on computer, so I don't have actually half as many of the problems that you have. However, some of the things graphically that are a very small problem for me, considering what the PlayStation 5 is supposed to be able to do. I too still run into frame rate drops. I'm sure if I threw it on my PC off of Steam, I'd have the same problems, but only more. So, given that it came out of the box almost perfect and still gave me that problem of I hit a section and I drop frames from anything below 45, it kills me.
Hmm.
It hurts my soul so bad when I watch it, and that's running it on performance mode. And I know there's workarounds to uh, running a performance mode full 60 frames per second on the PS4 version. But why would I play the PS4 version if I have the PS5?
I did hear a lot of people are playing the PS4 version on the PS5, and
I
apparently
did
that might
download
be
it
an
on the
issue.
PS4 too, or I downloaded the PS4 version up to my PS5 and played it, and I could actually tell the graphical difference in terms of, I guess, quality and actual like immersion to the game. Like you can
Mhm.
tell when somebody rains in a PS5 version versus the PS4 version, you can tell what's wet and what looks wet. Like
Mm,
I don't know if that phrasing makes sense, but if you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean.
mhm.
Um, Other than that graphical problem, the reason I'm going to bring it down to a 4.8 is actually one of the things for me that I feel gives the game a lot of character and a lot of explorative value, but to me is just too much in a soul sense vague. So my problem is with the questing. I get that this game is supposed to not have your typical quest journal guide kind of thing to guide you to your next quest. My only concern with that is sometimes some of these quests are ridiculously vague. And I
Mm,
have absolutely no idea what any of these people are talking about, especially when
yeah.
you enter a new area and you run into somebody for some reason and they like tell you, "Oh, they're up in this house ahead." And I'm like sitting in the middle of a giant 360 wide open field looking around like, "Which way's ahead, lady? You didn't even point.
Right.
Your character didn't give me a direction to head. It just said
Mm,
up ahead. Up ahead could be to the left on that mountain. Up ahead could be down there to the side on the freaking valley. I have no freaking clue, and there's not even a tiny little thing. Like
mhm.
for example, I know Ghost of Tsushima still had a very straight line quest system that gave you good direction, but the thing that I loved a lot about their quest design was that you didn't have that constant always tracking thing on the compass when you're moving through the world. When you needed to move to a different quest or follow a quest line, you could swipe up on the touchpad and it would give you wind floating around and it would point you in the direction you would need to go.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying I would need something so hardcore specifically to that, but something in that vein where it would be minor things in the environment that let me know that this is the direction I should go for something.
Are you
And
talking about specifically like NPC quests for
yeah,
that?
specifically NPC quests. Because, your mainline quest in Elden Ring is, for the most part, given out and laid out to you pretty simply and easily.
And you
And
have the grace
yeah,
guides.
yeah, and then you get the grace to guide you too. So, you get some, but it's just the NPC quests and side quests that sometimes I, like, have no freaking clue what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
And I love the exploration of that It's just that sometimes wandering around for an hour in a field and not finding what I'm looking for is frustrating as hell.
True. Yeah, I see why they did it,
Mm-hmm.
and because I mean it's been like that in every Souls game,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't had I didn't have that much of a problem with it at first, and I
Mm-hmm.
still really don't. Like there would be a character who says, "Hey, there's this castle down there. You got to retake it for me," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well, that seems pretty straightforward."
Yeah.
And there are other times where you meet someone and they're like, "Have you met this person? I need you to give this to them," and I'm like, "I do not remember who that is based on name alone."
Like who?
At the very least, I suppose a simple list of the
Mm-hmm.
characters' names and maybe just who they are
Mm.
would be nice. Just so that I know who is who.
Yeah.
um, but I see why they don't want to do that because
Mm-hmm.
they have a really specific design philosophy
Yeah.
where they don't want to hold your hand at all. They
Yeah.
want to say,
Oh yeah.
if you're in this situation and you forget who this person is, well then
You're
you
shit
forgot
out
who
of
they
luck.
are. Yeah. So I see why they did it. I'm not gonna hold it against the game,
Mm-hmm.
but I can see why people would be saying, why isn't there at least some sort of quest list
Mm-hmm.
that shows me who I've met?
Yeah.
I see the criticism, although I actually like that they
Yeah.
leave that sort of thing out because it really shows that From Software and Miyazaki have a specific experience in mind and they're going to give it to you.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Let's jump into some other topics for this thing real quick. Um, since we've been talking about the open world exploration part, for a Soulsborne experience, how does this stack up with other Soulsborne style games? And how do you feel the exploration of a full, bright, vibrant, living world changes the way you play this game versus when you played Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, things like that?
Hmm. And I will lay out real quick my Souls experience. I've played through Dark Souls 1.
Mm-hmm.
I've played through Dark Souls 3 numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
I've 100%ed Sekiro.
Mm.
But I haven't played Dark Souls 2, and I've only played a little bit of Bloodborne, and I haven't played Demon Souls. So that's my Souls experience.
Okay.
So based on Dark Souls 1, 3, and Sekiro, this game is incredibly different
Mm-hmm.
until it's not. Like, and what I mean by that is you have these perfectly soulsy crafted areas like castles and
Mm-hmm.
dungeons, and they're just incredibly reminiscent of what you know in Souls.
Yeah.
But when you're out in that open world and you're on Torrent, your horse,
Mm-hmm.
it is a feeling like no other truly in a Souls game because you'll be playing through a Souls game
Mm-hmm.
and you are exploring the world, but in and you can do things in different orders. But in most
Yeah.
cases, it's a path. You're going through a path, and it might have some circular. It goes in on itself, but you're going pretty straightforwardly through a path in those
Mm-hmm.
games. Pretty
In this
straightforwardly
game,
through a
yeah,
path. Pretty
in
much
those games.
abandons that unless you're even in the castle. The castles have that traditional design. You're going from one point to another, but there's multiple ways to get there. When
Mm-hmm.
you're in that open world, you really can do whatever you want, and it's something that hasn't really been in a Souls game before.
Mm.
But it feels just right. I don't know how they did it,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
it's increased my enjoyment of the experience. I think a lot because now you have both of these experiences. It didn't lose the previous Souls experience; that's still there and in full force.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have this extra layer of okay, I just went through this whole castle area. Now I'm gonna go, do literally whatever I want. I'm just gonna pick a direction on the compass and run that way, and you will just find so much stuff to do. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. The what I failed to grasp prior to this game existing was how ridiculously open the world could be. When I played things like Breath of the Wild or Horizon before, um, other open world games, Ghost of Tsushima, it the worlds didn't feel as, not to say that they didn't feel good, but they just didn't feel as ridiculously dense as this game does. And
Which is interesting because I don't mean to cut you
no,
off,
no, no,
but
you're good.
um, one thing that sets this game apart from other open world games that is interesting is that there's no communities, I guess, that you find in the world. There's no
Mm-hmm.
towns with
Yeah,
people walking around Skyrim style,
yeah,
guards walking around. You're not going to meet a Kakariko village in this game.
yeah.
And even with that, the world is brimming with characters, and
Mm-hmm.
it feels so alive, regardless or disregarding
Mm-hmm.
that. it still manages to feel like such an amazing world to explore, which is insane that they accomplished that. Because a lot of people saw that going in, like, oh, there's going to be no sort of white run area where
Yeah,
I can just meet a bunch of NPCs, but they didn't really need it, honestly.
I totally agree. Um, that that whole denseness that I was talking about is exactly how you were saying. It still feels like there's so much going on around there, even though you don't have a typical NPC hub town. You get,
Right.
the one round table, but even then, even with how few characters are actually there, it feels like a brimming metropolis. I feel like walking through there. I feel like I'm walking through Whiterun. I've got enough NPCs in there to make me feel like there's a lot more happening in this world. On top of
And
finding people in the world that end up moving back and forth between that area and the outer world in the lands between.
exactly, that's one thing I think that helps it a lot is the characters don't, like well, I guess this is a thing in other Souls games, so
Mm-hmm.
it's carried over. But
Yeah,
the characters don't stay in one spot.
yeah,
They move around.
yeah.
You'll talk to a guy in the round table, which if you don't know is basically the Firelink Shrine equivalent,
Yes,
sort of like your main hub.
yes.
You'll talk to someone over there, and then you'll be exploring the open world, and you'll find him, and he'll be like, "Oh, hey, I'm out hunting. What's up?" So they will
Yeah,
be moving around, and
yeah.
that adds to the feeling that they are real people in this world.
Yes. It's breaking down that boundary of this is your specific spot for hub. Yes, you come here to sell, buy, fix, upgrade, but these characters aren't bound to this area here. Some kind of are, but
There are a couple that
yeah.
as I guess I don't know if we've said this, but this is in progress. I am about 30 hours into this game. I
Oh
think
yeah.
you are as well.
Why didn't we lead in with that? Why didn't we lead
Yeah,
in with that onto the review? We'll put this in the notes for next time.
yeah,
Next
we're
time
about
we'll lead
30
in.
hours in.
Yeah.
And at this point, there are a couple characters who have not moved
Yeah.
from their spots in that area.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Oh man. But yeah, exploration wise, this game is massive, and it's ridiculous how massive it is. Just by looking at how different people's play paths have been going through the game. One person's playthrough will never be exactly the same as another person's playthrough, just because of the sheer depth of everything that's happening in this map, in this world.
definitely. I mean, every single person I've talked to that is playing this game at the same time as I
Mm-hmm.
has gone in completely different directions from the start,
Oh
and
yeah,
we'll have similar play times, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm really deep into this area," and I'm like, oh, "I haven't even gotten there yet.
yeah,
I'm over here," and they're like, "I didn't even know the place existed." It is
yeah.
insane, and it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it is.
And
It is really fun, and it's one of the good things I think about this game that breeds the community, because this Soulsborne community is super big. It's super like
and
dedicated to these games. So having so many people just talking about the game and having a different experience with it, no matter where, when, or how you started, is nuts. It's just
and
nuts.
yeah, and I'm glad that the Souls. I mean, Souls games were always huge, but this game really took off into the public sphere
Mm-hmm.
like no other has. And I'm glad that this is the one that did that, because it probably, for all the arguments going on about accessibility in Souls games, I
Yeah.
think this one is the most sort of newcomer friendly, because you really can just go anywhere. If you're in an area and you're like, I just can't do this, you are 100% free and even encouraged to just go do something else instead. And you
Yes.
will find something else to do.
Oh yeah. Or something else will find to do you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, this game is it's insane. So I can see why so many people have been giving it such great reviews, highly touted in the game sphere, in the games industry right now, as being possibly definitely one of the contenders for game of the year. But some people are going so far as to say this game already has stolen the rest of the year from every other title that exists.
Nothing else can beat it.
Nothing
It
else
is
can
the
beat
game.
it. Where do you put it in as of 2022 in the games you've played so far? Where's this one sitting in there for you?
I actually haven't played many games this year
Mm.
that have come out this year, or even that have come out last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at the top.
It's at the top. All right, that's good. Well, it's an early year. You've still got a
Yeah,
lot of time.
smart.
I know that people have been talking about Sifu, and I too have put it on the back burner because I have so many other things to do. But right now, I'm thinking this is actually one of my favorite games of all time.
I'm feeling the same as well. It's funny. I seem to say that when I got into Dark Souls 3, I was saying
Hmm.
this is one of my favorite games. When I got into Sekiro, I was saying this is one of my favorite games. And it's ringing true for Elden Ring as well. This game is insane, insanely good, and the world
Insane.
itself is extremely varied and like
Hmm.
visually,
Oh yeah.
it's honestly beautiful. Like I don't think I've ever taken more screenshots in a game than I have in Elden Ring. Like the skybox is amazing. The day night cycle works perfectly.
Yeah.
And you think that the world is only so big, and as you explore,
Oh
you will
yeah.
get entirely different vistas of
Oh yeah.
you know, and it's mind blowing. I don't know how this game is like. I don't know how they made it in the time they made it, because I think they were developing this and Sekiro around the same time,
Hmm.
or at least they started at similar times. I
Yeah.
don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it in such a like relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, I
You know,
would say so. So Sekiro had been in development since what, 2017, 2018?
20, 2017, I think.
Yeah. So, shoot, I mean, what, they had about 4 years development and then 1 year of polish, I want to say.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah,
a just an not even an educated guess. I'm guesstimating. Don't quote me on that, anybody.
no,
I know
that's a
that
fact.
the
That's a hard fact.
internet loves to quote people on everything they say. Don't quote me on that. Oh man. But yeah, 4 or 5 years of development and publishing, and been given a game that just out of the box has almost been perfect. Almost.
Yeah, this is what happens when you give your developers time to make
Oh yeah.
games. Activision.
Activision. Oh, we don't speak the unholy name of Activision Blizzard around here. We can't talk about them yet. Not until Phil Spencer steps in and fixes things there. It's just not. It's no man's land. That's the DMZ. We can't talk
Yeah,
about them. I want to talk about them because I want Diablo 4. I want it so bad, but I can't. I just can't give in until things get fixed there.
exactly.
So, in terms of Elden Ring's combat system and everything, how do you feel about the introduction, like the true, I want to say, introduction of a real magic class to these kinds of Souls games? Knowing
I'm
that you're
glad it.
playing as melee, but
Yeah. Just disclosure. I am full strength build, but
I have
I'm
nothing
glad.
else. Nothing else. It's all strength.
Exactly. But I'm glad it's like that, because a lot of people will talk down on people using sorcery builds and say, "Oh, you're playing easy mode."
Hmm.
Don't worry about that. The
Yeah.
magic in this game is unlike any of the other games, especially like Dark Souls 3. The
Hmm.
magic was pretty underwhelming. I can't speak for PvP, but when
Yeah.
it comes to like fighting enemies, it wasn't that good.
Hmm.
And I'm so glad that they finally fully fleshed out the magic in this game. There's so many different types of magic, and the spells are
Oh yeah.
actually insane. You cast faster than ever,
Uh huh.
and they actually hit hard,
Yeah.
and they look cool,
Oh
which
yeah.
is nice, because people who really like sorcery, I think, got snubbed out a lot in like Dark Souls 3. There was next to no sorcery in Bloodborne. You had a little bit of
Yeah.
arcane,
Yeah.
and obviously nothing in Sekiro. So the fact that they're going full force in this game, I'm glad it's there.
Me too. Because typically in fantasy style games like this, I end up playing a mage.
Mm,
So being able to jump in and just actually be a mage from the beginning and not have to fight my way through and get a little bit stronger to actually be able to use spells and have them mean something
yeah.
made like a big difference for me in terms of enjoying the game right out of the box too. Like I hands down expected to come into this and be like, well, I'm going to be rolling, dodging, which
Mm,
obviously I still am, but I
yeah.
thought I was going to be rolling and dodging and cutting all the time. Now I have like choices. I can step back and try and fight from afar and cancel out an enemy group before they get to me. And once they get to me, then I get squashed, like I have time between my death. I don't die right away anymore.
Yeah.
I'm able to think things through before things happen.
Have
And
you been? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
uh, uh, my one thing I did want to bring in about the sorcery and magic classes is the one thing I don't like about it is how they chose to categorize specific magics together as a faith magic or
Mm.
a sorcery magic. So typically, you would expect that a sorcerer could use elemental magics, would you not?
I suppose.
Yeah, that doesn't fucking exist in this game. So
Hmm.
basically, elemental spells are based off of one of the main stats in this game. That stat being faith, which is the class, the prophet, I think. Prophet or priest.
I believe so.
Same thing. Basically, I chose sorcerer thinking I'm going to run around and I'm going to torch these guys. They're going to suck lightning bolt. It's going to be great. And I get into the game and I'm throwing around little blue bolts of fucking rock. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn something later. And I start wandering around. I start getting some stuff. And about 10, 15 hours into the game, I start to realize I'm never going to touch a fucking elemental spell in my life in this fucking character.
Yeah, it that is sort of a soul staple. If you are a sorcerer, you're going to be throwing around blue magic. If you're throwing around miracles, they were
Mm-hmm.
called miracles in Dark Souls. I'm not sure what the faith magic is in this game, but
Uh,
that's a completely separate
Incantations or
thing.
something.
Yeah, isn't there also there's blood magic?
Yes,
Is
there
that
is blood magic.
intelligence or faith?
I think that one is in. It might be intelligence. I think because or no, gravity magic is intelligence. I think blood magic is gonna be faith, along with the dragon communion stuff, which sucks.
Yeah, there is a big difference there, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So that
It is unfortunate, I suppose.
it's unfortunate. Like I don't mind. I can go back. It's such a good game that I can feel the replayability. I know I'm gonna go back and play it at least a couple more times after I beat it initially.
I was
So
gonna say you have to replay as a
yeah.
faith build.
Oh yeah, gonna go back replay as a faith build. I'll probably go for a full melee build on the next one just to wash the taste of magic out of my mouth for a little bit, and then I'll
Have
go
you
back
been
and do it.
have you been taking advantage of the summon ability to summon enemies
Oh,
to fight by your side?
most definitely. That's like my biggest thing from this whole like this whole combat system in this game is being able to run my summons all the freaking time that I need to.
Hmm.
And I find these certain some of these battles are actually really really difficult without them. And that that's part of the lure, the appeal of a Dark Souls style Soulsborne game is the difficulty of it. Miyazaki has quoted before that he makes these games in such difficulty because he wants people to overcome those challenges. But he wants that to what's the word, to bleed over into their real life, saying, "Oh, like I was playing this game the other day and I just beat this ridiculously impossible boss. If I can do that, I can go out and I can go to I don't know, look for that promotion, look for that new job,
Right.
Insert generic I can do this because I did this statement here. That's that he was quoted as saying like that's one of the big reasons he wants people to play these games like this because he wants to show them that the impossible is not impossible.
And I think the summons are definitely a big factor in that
Oh yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
you will be fighting a lot of bosses like we were saying where
Mhm.
it's a boss but there's two of them, or here's a boss but there's a bunch of skeletons in the room.
Mhm.
And in any other Souls game you would see that and think, wow, that is just unfair. But in
Yeah.
this game you could pop out your own little group of enemies
Yeah.
and now it's sort of you're on the same level again. I think that's nice.
Yeah. I think that also ties into the whole changing this game to be more entry level for Soulsborne games because it
Mhm.
allows you don't have to call in help from somebody for co-op. You don't have to call in a friend that you actually know in life. You can play this game by yourself, say you're not the kind of person that likes multiplayer, and have some sort of mob to run with you to keep you uh, more focused on enemies at a time without being overrun completely.
Right. And and unfortunately, I haven't actually been able to take use of the summoning because I was talking to my buddy about this. I
Uh-huh.
apparently missed the NPC that gives you the bell to summon the guys, and I have not run into them since. So I have not summoned a single enemy in this game because I literally can't.
Oh
So
man, that
I'll have to
sucks.
figure that out eventually.
Where did I get the bell? I don't even remember. It was so long ago.
My buddy told me about where it was, and I went there, and there was no one there. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. So I might just not be able to summon for the rest of the game. Who knows?
Dang,
I don't want to look anything up, so
you,
I'll wait till
you
it's over.
definitely took the hard route with this one. I like your style, Rob. I like it.
I'll say it was unintentional, but I'm rolling with it.
Well, unintentionally or not, this game has been a smash hit. It has been freaking amazing, and even with its slight problems out of the gate with technical ability, it still is doing gangbusters in sales. Its numbers are just skyrocketing for any Soulsborne game that's released. It is
Mhm.
it is the smash hit of the opening of 2022 for gaming. What do you think is going to be decided by the future of From Software titles with this title in mind? Do you think that maybe they'll move to an Elden Ring too? Do you think that we might get another remake from Blue Point? What are your thoughts on the future of From Software games?
Well, when it comes to From Software, I feel like I hope. Okay, let me put it this way:
Mm-hmm.
From Software definitely has a formula,
Yeah.
and they know that the formula works, and
Mm-hmm.
they know that everyone loves the formula, and the formula is being put to use here in Elden Ring, definitely. So one thing a lot of people like about FromSoft is their consistency. But another thing I really like about FromSoft games is the experimentation. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
look at Sekiro,
Yeah.
the mechanics of that game are completely different than what we've seen before in this series. It has much more of a like story and characters and in fact impact the plot. That game is, it's very unique
Yeah.
compared to all these games. Then you have Elden Ring, which they obviously experimented with by turning it into this massive open world that is actually fun to explore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sort of hoping that they don't just consecutively make a bunch of Elden Rings after this, not
Yeah.
even necessarily IP, but just, gameplay mechanics wise.
Uh-huh.
I hope they keep experimenting because I like when From Software knows what they like and they keep doing it, obviously, or else I wouldn't love all these games.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really like when they try new things. So
Mm-hmm.
would I necessarily want to see an Elden Ring 2 in the future? Maybe. Although, I'm always up for them being able to fully flesh out their creativity in something new.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to like making future open world games, if they could come out with the same quality, that would be excellent. But I would also hope that they can keep their variety and maybe put out another Sekiro type game where
Yeah.
it's just completely different not completely different, but it's fairly different than other things they've been making.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, Sekiro won Game of the Year, so
Yeah. That is
I
true.
hope they keep up the variety. I don't want to just see Elden Ring clone, sort of like how Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3,
Mm-hmm.
well, at least 1 and 3 are
Yeah.
fairly similar,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Definitely.
terms of gameplay and world. So I hope they keep the variety up.
I totally agree. I think that From Software has uh, a strong grip on the niche community that is a Soulsborne game, and I think that if they're given the time and the ability to really focus down and put out ideas that they want to work on, they are going to make something absolutely stunning. Do I want an Elden Ring 2? Hell yeah, I want an Elden Ring 2. But I don't want it right away. I want it in like 10 years when Elden Ring is really old and everyone's talking about these new systems and games and things that can go technically beyond whatever we've done before. I want a VR Elden Ring game. I would love a VR Elden Ring game, but a perfect VR Elden Ring game.
From Soft Beat Saber.
From Software Beat Saber. That's basically what it would be. I swear to God. That's exactly what it would be. But we're starting to run out of time here, so just to close up the stuff, 4.9 on the score, so that's a good score. Elden Ring getting some really high reviews out of the gate.
Yeah, so far.
So far. And this is in progress. This is a 30 to 40 hour in progress review at the time. So give us another 30, 40 hours and we'll come back with a final justification. I wouldn't be surprised if I bump my score up to a perfect 5 at this point.
Especially if they come in and release these patches that fix the issues, because the main issues are the technical ones.
Yeah, definitely. Everything else about the game, I have no problems with, honestly. Like, I understand the way that the menus work. I understand how, your HUD is supposed to work and how it should feel. I know the struggle and pain of having to drink a potion and knowing my enemy's going to swing right before I start drinking it. So hopefully we'll get another finished review out here. Thank you, Mr. Rob, for joining me for today's podcast. Hopefully we'll have you again. Oops, sorry, Mike. Hopefully we'll have you back here again for another podcast later on, and we'll be able to talk some more about stuff. I had a good time. Is there anything you'd like to add before I end up our closing statement?
I don't believe so. Thanks for having me. It was very fun.
Of course, anytime. It's always good to get some guests on here and have some other people to really talk to that really get involved in the game and really have a love for gaming in general.
Of course.
So here we go. Here's our shameless self-promotions part where I go on and talk about thanks for watching us. Thank you. Thank you for watching us. This is the Hey Listen podcast. You've been watching it live on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/HeyListenOfficial. And if you haven't, then you're going to be listening to it on podcast services later or on YouTube. So please, if you liked what you saw, liked what you watched, liked what you heard, or just liked how we looked, which is totally applicable here. We are handsome as hell. You can go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. You can give us a follow, and you can stay tuned for more news coming out. Later tonight, I will personally be doing a state of play reactions video, or not a reactions video, kind of a reactions video. I'm just going to be going over what they talk about at state of play and do a little 10-15 minute clip. That'll be posted on YouTube tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and this will be going up in the next couple hours on podcast services and YouTube. So stay tuned, check it out, and thank you for watching. We will finish up this Game of the Year Contenders review in a couple, I want to say like in a month or two, and we will catch you guys later. Thank you very much, and remember, game like you mean it.
Bye.
Awesome. Perfect. That was great.
Outstanding.
That was an
fun.
hour and like 5 minutes. Hour and like 7 minutes.
It didn't feel like an hour.
It didn't. It doesn't. It's ridiculous. That's why I'm saying, like, my friend was like, dude, there's no way you can do hour shows for things. And I'm like, you have no idea how easily you could do an hour show for things.
We could have went on for another 40 minutes.
No, we could have, and I wanted to. I was like, I had so much more I wanted to talk about, but there's just not enough time. There was not.
The game is just too big.
I know, and we're not even done with it, dude. We're not done with it.
What's crazy is, so I beat Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro, my first playthrough, both around 40 hours.
Yeah.
And right now I'm 10 hours away from that, and I don't think I'm going to be finishing Elden Ring in the next 10 hours.
There's no fucking way, dude. There's no fucking way.
Yeah.